Just a reminder, today's conference is being recorded.
And after a few minutes, we will start with the presentation for today. So today, Peter Vogel from Abbott is so kind to give us an overview of what they did in their PI sheet implementation at Abbott. Thank you very much, Peter, for giving this to us, so that we also see some other use cases from real customers and implementations. Yeah, I think before we start, I'd like to show this, what I didn't show for a long time right now, but actually I get common email traffic from colleagues, from partners who ask me to, well, can you give me an introduction, or can you give me some training? And so this is clearly not what this is all about. I mean, in this meeting we will discuss things, and I will also ask questions, of course. But clearly, what this is not about is to do consulting on specific issues, to replace training or replace OSS. So just to make this clear again. Okay, I'd like all of you to mute your phone with *6. And whenever you've got a question, you can also unmute your phone with *6 again. That would be very nice. Okay. So I switch to presentation mode, and yeah, Peter, please share your desktop, and if you want, you can also introduce yourself and your company a little bit, and then go ahead.
I have to click on my computer screen again.
Yes, please.
Okay. So, okay, I'm releasing it.
And you can also press full screen to see the full screen here on the bottom of your screen. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Peter Vogel. I'm coming from Abbott Laboratory, located in Ludwigshafen. I just want to show you an example of a HTML-based PI sheet that we are applying in a Singapore nutrition plant. I don't want to tell you too much about me, about our company. If you want to see something, just go to the Google or other HTML site and check it. The example that I have is completely in 4.6. That means we do not have XStep technology, but we were using lots of possibilities that the PI sheet gives us.
So that also means that you don't have events and commands available for your solution. Yes?
That is not really a problem. We worked around it, but of course it would help if I had the possibility to work with commands and events. On the other hand, as we are a pharmaceutical company, we do have this test, quality and production environment, and everything that is used in production environment has to be checked during the quality system. So we want to transport a lot, and as in XSteps many things are master data, you do not transport it. So on the one hand it's very flexible, on the other hand you have to check that if you are applying it in production area, the one who is applying it, he is supposed to have some pretty good logic. Now I do have an echo myself. Okay. let's jump. Oh, I have a real big echo.
For the new ones, please press star 6 to mute your phone. And you can press star 6 again if you have a question. Thank you.
Okay. What I want to show you right now, I already created a process order for a material, which I just named wet material. We are talking about a nutrition plant. Oh, now it's a lot better. We are talking about a nutrition plant. Nutrition plant in Singapore is producing stuff like milk powder, powder for people who got some problems with babies and with their stomach and with everything. And this milk powder is the first step of a finished product. The first step is more or less mixing raw material together, doing some procedures like powdering in water, doing some hopper procedure and so on. The next step, a new recipe, a different step that I don't want to show you here, is to dry it. Then you have a blending step, and at last you have a packaging step. What I want to show you here is more or less an example recipe that we set up for doing the dry powder. I already created beforehand a process order for a material, and what you see here, all of you will know, is operation list of many operations, where you can see the short text and the control recipe destination. As you can see here, we do have a recipe with different control recipe destinations. The big advantage of this is you can go step by step. For example, if you are creating such a process order, you can release the first weighing step, and whenever the weighing is finished, you can release the next weighing step in a different control recipe, or you can do everything in parallel. A big advantage of going step by step, of course, is if you decide to change your resource during the execution of the process order, you have the possibility to change the resource in your process order and release the step after you have created or released this operation. First of all, I just show you the outcome of this process order. I already went to the CO60 fine PI sheet. I already created the PI sheet for this process order for all control recipe destinations, as you can see here. Now, the usual way we are working with this is we are starting with the first weighing operation. Once the weighing operation is done, we are creating the next control recipe. Sometimes we are creating also as well the whole process order, because we do have checks. For example, first of all, you are consuming raw material. If somebody would try to start with a process control room, I'm just getting in here, and would try to start with the first signature. No, I start differently. Let's start with the first weighing. or with any weighing. I'm just taking any weighing step and starting with the weighing operation. Everything that you see here is automatically created in background. You don't see these operations in the recipe. With the 4.6 version and of course with the ECC6 version as well, you do have the possibility to automatically create process instructions in background by having some conditions in your recipe. What we created here are blocks of weighing operations for each component of the recipe. Perhaps, okay. As you can see here, we have, just for an example, a citrate material where we do have two tables where you can enter manual quantities or you can read by OPC. As we are right now in a complete test environment, I do not have an OPC scale in background connected to this. I just show you the weighing step. We are doing following thing. We are in the weighing area. We are creating containers that are not yet consumed. We are creating containers. These containers are moved to the production area and in a different area the created containers are consumed.
This is quite interesting here. The pop-up you got by pressing the F4 in the entry field, correct? Mm-hmm. So you created a custom F4 help here.
Right. Mm-hmm. Every field in background has got either a check routine where I'm checking if you are using, for example, a storage unit that is today not valid. You will get an error message or a warning. You can accept it, or you can say in doing the customizing for this, you can say never allow to accept if you are, for example, trying to consume a batch that is not valid today. Sorry. For example, I'm just selecting one, and as you can see, some of the data that are selected are automatically put in some entry fields. You do have target quantity, and now you can of course consume, like I'm just trying to scale 10 kgs. You will see that there is now we are completely in the manual step. Everything you see here can be done as well in the OPC read, and every quantity calculation is as well done in the OPC read. For example, you could even mix manual weighing with OPC read weighing. Just to give you an example, I'm just assigning it. Whenever you are assigning a manual area, you have to apply two different signatures. That is two different people, usually if they are not giving their password, should sign this process. And you can keep on going with perhaps with the same storage unit, or you do have a different storage unit, and you can consume another, let's say, 2 kgs, and you will see everything is computed in background. As this is pretty boring, I prepared another process order where all the weighing is already done, but of course you could as well create a different container here. you can select a scale, or you can have in the recipe, you can say, okay, I do always have a specific scale. As I did not say anything in the recipe, it asks me to select one. If I'm trying to read it, it says invalid scale, select valid scale beforehand. I know it's now you have again a table where there are the valid scales for this operation, or let's better say for this weighing resource. You can have different work centers, different weighing rooms, and in background there is a resource check before you're doing here an F4 and it's checking if you are in the correct room, and then you can select one. And now okay, in the test environment I do have a specific rule in background where I get some randomized numbers. Usually you get the OPC read from the connected scales, but here in background I do have some parameters.
What about some actions like zeroing and tearing? Is this not important here?
It's not important here. It's done not in the PI sheet. You could do this, but our weighing area is not set up to do the zeroing and tearing. I've seen in your presentation, which is a lot more or higher sophisticated, of course. What we are doing, we only tried to do with some simple customer stuff to get the numbers that are on the scale and automatically put them to the PI sheet. But there's no higher logic behind, as of course I'm checking some boundaries, but to do some zeroing and tearing is not in it. As you can see here, as I'm doing only one weighing step, I have only one signature, and you can keep on going, do all the weighing for this. Automatically in background for each weighing step there is done a creation of another storage unit. I'm not consuming anything. I'm only putting some material from the selected storage unit, creating a new storage unit, and this storage unit has got a printout on it, and it's transported to the production area where this container can be consumed. It can as well be transported back.
You could say this is a kind of material staging, which
Correct.
could also be done by warehouse procedures, but in this case you're doing it with a PI sheet.
Correct. You could do it as well with WM, completely with WM, but as you are in the production area doing your weighing, and as the recipe quantities are controlling some weighing procedure, it's completely done here in the PI sheet and during the weighing. And just a minute. As well, I copied some of the stuff that you showed me, Honor. For example, automatically you have some icons if this material has got some let's say specialities, and these icons are automatically created out of the material master. In the material master we do have an icon name, and from this icon name the PI sheet is creating a link to a GIF or JPEG picture. Just some tricks around. And for example, the first 3 steps you are usually containing or the first 4 steps are the weighing material. The next step would be, for example, if you would try to go like W1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you would try to go with W5, you are supposed to sign it, otherwise you cannot do anything. And here the PI sheet, this is a completely different PI sheet, and the area where this PI sheet is executed, it's checking the process order, the sequence of the operations, the operation sequence, and it's checking if the preceding operation is already finished. That means you can define in your recipe a linkage between operations. For example, you can only start to consume a container once it is weighed. So first of all, the weighing, or let's say for example weighing 1, should be completed before you can start to mix this material. If they are not yet finished with weighing 1, you are not supposed to execute this PI sheet. And here we have some checks. For example, predecessor 1020 for phase W1 is not yet confirmed.
But you also have parallel phases where you have multiple predecessors, for example?
The function module in background that is checking if all the phases which must be completed are completed. You could as well have parallel phases where you can allow this, or you could not even check it. For example, I could have some laboratory correction, which is usually in the pretty at the end of a process order, but it could be sometimes if you are canceling a process order, or if you are changing some important stuff. For example, I can start with this lab correction at any place I want. It's not doing some checks. And I can select here every material that is inside the recipe. For example, you are putting together lots of components for this process order, and all these components are planned in the recipe. So whenever you are creating, for example, let's go to this.
So you're not using alternative materials, for example, as possibility?
Yeah, we are not using alternative materials, but I will show you later when I'm creating a recipe that we are using alternative resources and let's say resource connections, because we do have tubes where we do want to know if there is an OPC redone, which is the OPC address. And depending on if you are using, for example, let's go downstairs, if you are using a PIF tank and you want to go to, let's say, to an FP tank, there is a tube in between. And we do have different FP tanks. If you have FP tank 1, you have a different tube, then you have an FP tank 2. And if you want to read automatically the OPC value, which is not a weight, it might be a volume of FP tank 2, the system, the PI sheet, automatically knows the correct address. I show you later when I'm creating a recipe how this is done. But here, coming back to this, here is a possibility to do some corrections where we do have different kinds of material. We do have material that is weigh and dispensed, and we do have material that comes out of a hopper as a volume. We are not weighing it, we just want to consume, let's say, like 200 liters or 1000 kgs or whatever, but it's not weight. So as I do not know in advance, I'm just checking one material. You can say, okay, 1 kg is missing. So what I'm entering here is just a requirement. It says I do have a requirement to add 1 kg of this material. You can put in a text which is automatically presented later when you are consuming this, and I say, hello, this is XStep test and save it. So you could enter, of course, all the materials you want to have here. Another thing, first of all, in this PI sheet there are really lots of special functions which I cannot show you all here in this short presentation. But just for an example, you do have, as with the right mouse button, you could say deactivate table, and we deactivated some functionality here because we don't want the user to do some special things which are not supposed to be done here at this point. I know it would be a little bit better if we would only allow the functions that are possible here, but if we are allowing these functions, we had to go to the style sheet and do some stuff, and we didn't want to change the style sheet. Otherwise you get problems whenever you have an OSS node. Right?
You're quite right, yes.
Okay. So we do have an weighing reversal. Weighing reversal means we created a container, and we want to put this container ID we already created, we want to put it back. As you could see, these 3 containers I created manually, and for example, these containers are no longer used, so we want the containers to go back from production to WM, and we are allowing to move them through the PI sheet back from the production.
But then in the previous PI sheet where you had this remaining quantity fields filled in, that information is then not true anymore, correct?
You are absolutely 100% correct. If you are coming from politics, you could say, I weight this quantity for this material, and what you are doing later, you are right, is not documented in the...
Do you have some sort of a logbook where you store these activities also, so that you can see them in one place?
We do have the complete PI sheet protocol, and we are... Every exception is documented in a special report.
Yeah, because what I have done also in another weighing project is that for all activities that are relevant for all the logistics and the material balance as well, we have created log entries in a special Z table. And then we had a special report that could show you all this log. In that case, it was just a weighing log, but you could basically put all other stuff in there, like cleaning a weigh scale or something like that.
Yeah, the difference is here on the other end of the phone is the master speaking, and right now I am the student who is talking.
Okay, just maybe an idea for you.
Thank you. You are right. You are absolutely, definitely right.
Okay.
So, okay. For example, if in the correction phase you created a material which is to be weighed, you have an unplanned weighing. In this unplanned weighing, if it's a material that is weighed, you will see this one line, this 1 kg line here, and now you can keep on going, selecting storage unit for this material and do this unplanned weighing. One problem many people have with, not only with SAP, with any production system is usually you do have your recipe where you are planning your complete production. But for example, in pharmaceutical area or in all other areas, the world is not so easy or so simple. Usually you have changes during the process, especially in chemical environment and in pharmaceutical as well, and I'm sure in all other area you have changes. And to put these changes in a just live process order sometimes is difficult. And we tried it on several places where we could see, okay, we do have some needs for the end user to change an already executed step.
But this changing is only reflects the material stuff, so not the resource. So once you have created a PI sheet for a certain resource, that resource is all really taken.
Perhaps I show you an example of creating a process order. Creating a process order, I'm just taking a smaller quantity and a start date that's in the future. Creating a process order means of course you have to enter a quantity that you are planning to produce, and you have to enter a start date. In the background, the correct recipe is selected. In this environment, it's a little bit slowly because we are right now in a complete development environment, which is not the fastest one. For example, you can see here some parameters with a system status that tells me if I'm trying to release, for example, I'm trying to release W5, it would not allow me. Release phase. It would give me a lock. Why? If this lock, because this resource is a dummy resource, or it's a header resource, which says here in this step you are supposed to select a specific protein, infet, minor, dump, whatever. I'm coming from IT, so I have no idea what it is. Okay, and you have to select the correct one. There are possibilities in SAP to have this classification and automatically select the correct ones. We did not use this for specific different reasons, which is going too far for this XStepCafe.
Okay.
So usually you are taking a specific resource. Now you could release diff 5, and you will see lots of these specific resources. Specific resource means we are not yet sure before we are executing this which resource we will take. For example, usually someone would not release this or select these specific resources. He would just start and say, okay, tomorrow, or let's say on Friday, we want to start with our weighing step. So the operations I want to do is release my weighing steps. I'm always wondering if it's still working, because I haven't been in this area for almost 2 months, only creating the process order you've already seen, and some other guys are doing some stuff in here, and you never know if it's still working. So now I'm creating the control recipes only for the weighing environment, and this can be done, and in the background the weighing environment PI sheets are completely created. So this takes some time. What you have to know is we tried to simplify the recipe for the user.
I've got one question more concerning providing data from one PI sheet to the other.
Yeah.
So in your example, you just checked the status of the predecessor phases.
Yeah.
Are you also passing other data from one PI sheet to another?
No.
By some means? Okay.
No, you could do this during PI sheets, of course, during global variables and all this stuff, but it's a kind of sometimes you have some strange errors. So if we would do something like that, we would use temporary files, because I'm a little bit more confident it's always working. Sometimes we have some problems if a global variable in background is doing some.
It's the same with the live parameters in with XSteps. There I also have the feeling that sometimes some weird behavior occurs. So I have customers who are doing this with internal tables, Z tables, or other ABAP means where they're really sure what they do.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Just a minute.
Thank you.
Minute means I was just saving it. I just want to show you, if I can. Which one is it? This one? No. I just want to show you the recipe in background. As you know, in commercials, never try to produce this, what you see here. In reality, I think you will go to the police and ask what Abbott is doing. It's most of this stuff is a little bit weird, and it's only for testing reasons for IT people. So if you're going to the materials, you see lots of materials which are assigned to operations. People who know recipes, they will see immediately there are lots of components which are automatically assigned, or not automatically, you are assigning it to some of these operations. So usually you would assume that in background there are some instructions, but you will see no instructions in background. Everything is done via O10C. transaction.
Oh.
I know right now for some people I'm really jumping badly. But if it's weird, just...
I think it's okay.
Why not? Okay. There are O10C means if you are creating a control recipe, you can do some filter functions where you can say on specific conditions, please automatically create these instructions in the PI sheet.
This is the same stuff what you can do with the generation scopes with the XSteps, where you have to
correct
create a body for that.
Yeah. And I would prefer the body, even if I not yet I do not yet know how it works in detail. But here we did a little enhancement on 4.6. In 4.7 you have the scope if you are in such a condition to use a sort string, which is automatically creating some of the stuff. And
here these filters, they are always filtering out the normal generation scope here. And what in XSteps is possible that you can really define on your own what is the real scope. So you can really create a total new one, add stuff to it if you want, like that.
And as we did not have these functionalities you already have in XStep, we had to take the ones that are available, and in 4.6 the sort string is not yet available. We took an enhancement from 4.7 where it's going, where it will be available, and put it into 4.6. So if you try to do the same thing on your 4.6, you will have a problem. Okay, just one or two other stuff on the PI sheet, for example. I don't want to be too boring. Here, usually the process control room is the next step after the weighing procedure. I already started here finishing all the weighing. We do have a special system which is exchanging data with our PI sheet via XML structure. And here in the starting, after we have done a weighing, we are putting all the selected resources to a hopper controlling system, which is not very interesting for everybody, but as I just want to tell you, there is one, it's called Rovisys batch system under the PI sheet, which is controlling some hoppers and this stuff. We were or still they are thinking about doing everything in the PI sheet, because this Rovisys sub-batch is a little bit expensive, and PI sheet, one of the biggest advantages is fully integrated in SAP. You don't have to spend any additional money for licenses and so on, and this is a big advantage.
So what you're doing here basically is you have a function module there that gathers data from that order and puts it to the external system, to the
100%
subsystem.
correct.
Okay. And when is it triggered? Is there a button for it, or is it a background function?
As soon as you are starting this W7, PI sheet is the first PI sheet you are executing after the weighing. Other PI sheets are usually checking this W7, or let's say other important PI sheets, which are in the logical queue of my
Okay, so I assume the signature is the trigger.
Sorry.
Okay.
The signature is the trigger, and with the signature in background, message is created, as you of course know, and this message is executing a program, and this program is going via XI. It's creating an XML database. And here, there is some boring stuff, some operations in process control. I don't want to make it too boring. Just one thing we do have, of course, we do have OPC, not OPC, we do have SOPs in background. For example, here, this is only a testing example. I'm just checking if the SOP, which is linked to this button, is released.
So you're using fixed versions here for your document access?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the standard function module available.
It's almost the standard function module. It's the only change to the standard function module is that we are checking status.
Okay, because I also did some similar thing, and there I also avoided this version because I wanted to have a function module that automatically selects the latest released version.
Yeah, that's what I was proposing. But the thing is, that was my suggestion, to always get the last valid for this recipe date valid SOP, and they wanted always to have the version 0 as the active version. If they are changing it, they are changing the version 0. They are not doing new versions.
Okay.
It was not mine. See if there is... okay. Okay, here you can see as well, this is not fixed in the recipe, it's automatically put in the PI sheet which material is to be consumed here. I'm just checking if I have...
So here we are at the place where you really would do the consumption messages then also.
Right. Here it's not yet available, but here it says these 4 materials. You will select only containers that are in the for these 4 materials that are created through the weighing, and during the signature here, the signature is checking if you were
completeness.
Yeah, completeness. If you consumed all the containers that are supposed to be consumed here.
Okay, so and if you press F4 in that container field ID, then you would only get those containers for those materials that you have listed
correct.
here.
The problem is that I have to go... here I can do it. You will see you only get this container for this process order. This container I already created.
Great.
With 500 grams.
Right. So maybe this is 10. Now we have 10 before 4.
Okay.
Yeah, my local time. So maybe we should give all the others possibility to ask questions.
Great.
For the last 10 minutes. If there are no questions, you can maybe do also some other things. But I think 10 minutes is.
No, 100%.
It's okay. So please, if you have a question, press *6 again. Then you're again unmuted, and you can make comments or questions.
Can somebody hear me?
And can you state your name, please?
Yeah, Alexandra.
Hi.
Hi. First of all, thank you very much for this really nice presentation, which is brilliant. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in the how you get the resource thing, because a little bit earlier you you are, let's say, announcing that you have special things integrated which are for these resources?
Yeah. First of all, you mean this Rovisys interface?
No, I think you described it that you are selecting the resource and then you are transferring it to the PI sheet, and then in the PI sheet you are doing some fancy stuff, and then somehow...
You're not meaning the user status that is
No,
set?
I think there was something with the OPC data read.
Okay, yeah. Right now, as you can see here, we are in the recipe, and I'm just checking where I do have some alternative. Let's go here. We do have some secondary resources. I have to scroll through, just take some time. And these secondary resources and the primary resources, they do have an OPC address in a user table. Now, whenever you are looking for it.
I know that.
Here, for example, I do have a secondary resource, which is an FP tank, and for this FP tank, and let's say this is 8010. Here, the connection between an BH01 and FP tank, there is a tube in between, and this tube has got a meter, and whenever you are putting some material through it, you can do an OPC read with a quantity, and you don't want the user, when he's doing an OPC read for this specific material that's going through this tube, you don't want him to say, okay, now I want to have this specific OPC address. In background, we do have a table where the connection between this BH01 and this FP tank is linked to...
Okay, so I guess in the PI sheet you will have a function module call which checks the resource and secondary resource and checks that user table there for the OPC data, and then calls these RC calls instead of the normal SAP ODA functions, correct?
Correct. For example, you can see here, let's see, I created a table where you have a source resource, a target resource, an OPC function, do you want to have a read or a write, and a specific type of a resource. And this is an OPC address which is created. You could see it in COPCI or whatever. You could see the specific address.
Okay.
That is clever.
Just a remark. It's also possible to bypass that OPC customizing if you want.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I didn't want to have sort of a double setup of all this OPC data, because the OPC tags are themselves already defined in the OPC servers. So I chose to directly access the RC connection with the real OPC tag, and not this alias that you can define in SAP customizing.
I didn't know.
Yes, there are some other function modules that allows you to do that, but of course you have to find them.
Okay.
Just as a hint.
But very good idea. What I just want to show you how we did it. We defined our different. Sometimes we have material from some storage location to a resource. We defined all the different links, and for example, here we have a timer OPC tag. The big advantage is whenever we are, as you could see here, I have not done anything in here. Automatically you will see here a tag, and you can do a read device on this tag. It will create nothing. Okay, it will create a message because of the shelf life for this batch, which is currently in this location, is already reached. But usually the customer or the operator only has to press the read device without entering any additional information. The one of my tags for this project was to have the people who are operating the PI sheet to let them or to avoid too much complex information for them. For example, OPC tags is too complex. Even resource names. Of course, they know they are standing in front of a hopper, but in the PI sheet they have to see, okay, here I'm using a hopper, and if I'm putting the read device, it's automatically creating a value from this hopper, and he doesn't have to enter anything.
Great. So, Alexander,
Thank you very much.
Did that answer your question?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And
thanks a lot. Anybody else who wants to ask a question? I just want to say we are at the end of the session, but I would also carry on if you want, as long as Peter has time. But if you don't mind, please rate the session. So that's also for Peter's information. Later on, I will tell him. So that's on the lower left side on your screen, if you don't have full screen active, of course. And yes, you have stopped sharing, okay.
Oh, no, so sorry, I did not stop.
No?
Did I?
Yeah. No, it's back again, okay. No, it's it was your screen. Okay, sorry.
My goal is, of course, as the XStepCafe is set up, to share information. If anybody has got some good information, for example, Arne, you showed me some stuff and it was always brilliant and great information. Some I could do, some I could not do, and to share information in this XStep, it would help everybody. That's the goal of this.
I think that should be an inspiration for other participants here, especially customers that have created examples in their environments. So please be welcome to raise your hand if you want to present something. So you have seen also it does not have to be with XSteps. Also, even with in 46C, you can really do cool stuff with all the limitations you have there compared to the newest release. Any other questions, remarks from participants?
Hi. We have a question
who are you?
Secondary. This is Sudha.
Hi.
From Merck Pharmaceuticals, New Jersey. Okay, the question is, since you are using a secondary resource in the PI sheet, how do you confirm the secondary resource from PI sheet?
Actually, we are not consuming activities from the secondary resource. We are only using the secondary resource to find the correct OPC address. You are correct. Usually the secondary resource should be done to consume activities. As you can see in the recipe, and again, it was not me, it was the end user, they do not have, even in the test environment, they do not have planned activities consumption. which I'm not so happy about, but they said for our costing, we do have an additional phase which is in costing operation, and only in this costing operation at the very end of the process order, I'm, for example, usually to produce 1 kg, I'm needing 7 hours of whatever activity and 8 hours of where is it here? You have some activities that you are consuming, and you have it here in the very last operation of this recipe. I know it's not how SAP.
Do you have a PI sheet where you enter the data there, or is it normal confirmation?
Here we do have a specific PI sheet where the supervisor is doing the review and operation audit for the whole process order.
Okay, so I believe so. You're working with paper there still to record times, or is it just a thumb value?
It's only a plant value.
Okay.
We can discuss the costing, and I'm very happy to discuss it, but I'm not so happy to
okay.
put some stuff. But okay, it's the way a plant is working. You can, if you are, for example, planning to produce 10,000 kgs of a material, and you are producing only 9,000 in the same time, you have deviations. And now it's the question, and it's a discussion in the plant, and it's a discussion in costing, where do you want the deviations to be documented? And do you want to see the deviation was because one of my hopper had a problem or something like that? We, in this specific process, we do not see the deviations. The deviations are on a cost center. You will see, okay, in this month I was consuming like 100 hours of this cost center or of this resource, and plant were 90 hours. You do not know where this 10 hours deviation is costed, where it is sourced from. It's a way how some people are doing it.
So Sudha?
Yeah,
not
okay.
sufficient
Thank
for you maybe, but yes. Any other questions, comments? Well, if this is not the case, then thank you very much, and thank you so much, Peter, that you gave this beautiful presentation. And hopefully we will see something like this for another customer soon. Please, if you want to step forward, you can send me a mail, and we can also discuss this offline. And till next time. I wish you
thank you, Arnie and Peter.
Okay, welcome.
And